Great, so welcome to the next Fit Sit class. Today featuring an orange ball or something similar if you have one. When I work with people more on a one-to-one basis, I incorporate a lot of exercises using these for hands and feet, and we'll just introduce some of those today. But just put the ball to one side for a moment, and then please come to sit at the front edge of your chair. I'm just turning sideways so you can see my spine, and pay attention if you can to the shape of your spine. If you feel this tendency to round back, it's very common. Think of pushing out the lower tummy just to help bring you more onto the middle part of the sit bones. And then just be a little bit fussy about how you've chosen to place the feet. So first of all, they should be on the floor, not tucked behind you. And then check that the heels are underneath the knees. So the idea being that I could come, or someone could come and sit on your knee, and your knee would be ready to support them. So if the knee is tilting slightly to the outside or to the inside, that isn't a knee that could support someone's weight. And then once you've done that, just have the hands resting on the thighs, and please begin to tilt the right knee a little bit to the outside and to the inside. So for the class, I'm mirroring the movement, but you're tilting your right knee a little bit to the outside and a little bit to the inside. So just exploring some initial movement in the hip joint. And then pause, and then please do the same with the left knee. So just tilting it to the outside and to the inside a few times. Just maybe noticing any differences in the range of motion compared to the other leg. And then come to center, bring your attention to your right heel and just begin to lift the heel as high as you can, and then bring it back down. So just lifting it high and bringing it back down, and then once more lifting it high and back down. And then do the same with the left heel. So just lifting the heel high, it's as though the heel is sliding up the back of the leg, which means your calf muscles are contracting. So lifting the heel as high as you can and bringing it back down. And then once more lifting it high and then back down. And then bring your attention back to the right heel. Imagine there is a peg stuck between the big and second toe, and you lift the heel high, take it to the outside and put it down, and then lift the heel high and bring it to the inside and put it down. And you will see on the camera, on the screen rather, as I'm bringing the heel to one side, I'm allowing the knee to tilt to the opposite side. And if you can do that, it means we're getting some rotation in the hip joint, some internal and external rotation. And then pause, come back to center, and then with the left heel, lift it high, take it to the outside and put it down, allowing the knee to tilt to the inside, and then lift it high and bring it to the inside. So just going from side to side, allowing this opposite tilt of the knee, and once you've done it 4 or 5 times, then bring the heel back to center. And then take hold of your orange ball and have it underneath the right foot. So just from the side, I've sort of got it in the middle of the right foot, and then just pushing a little bit of pressure down into the ball. Just roll your foot along the ball, just giving a little bit of pressure. So it's a very nice way of kind of releasing some of the muscles and the joints in the foot. And to give it the technical term, you're just giving it a bit of welly. So you're giving a bit of pressure into the ball, and try to really make sure you go to the ends of the toes and then to the heel. Good. And then pause, and then make the focus more from the heel to the big toe side of the foot. So you're just rolling the foot into the ball, but emphasising the heel to the big toe a few times, just really pressing into the ball. And then pause and make then the focus from the heel to the little toe side of the foot. So just massaging into that line, heel to the little toe side of the foot. And then make the focus from the heel to the middle 3 toes. So heel to the middle 3 toes a few times. Just identifying that line. Good. And then pause, and then make sure the ball is in the middle part of the foot. And then as you roll the ball towards you, bring your heel down to the floor. And then as you roll the ball away, think the tips of the toes are diving down to the floor. So heel as you roll the ball back towards you, toes down as you roll the ball slightly away. Heel down, toes down, just bringing the heels down as you bring the ball towards you, and then toes down as it goes away. And then once you've done that a few times, then again just massage without being too fussy into the sole of the foot. Really, but also including the length of the toes in that. Good. And then pause, and then bring the ball underneath the left foot. But then just notice how the right foot is feeling in your awareness. So for me, I'm much more aware of the lines of the toes. The sole of the foot is much more kind of alive in my brain. And so with the ball underneath the left foot, just begin to massage, again, without being too fussy initially, but giving it a little bit of welly from the heel, and then kind of catching the toes. So as you bringing the ball towards the toes, it kind of stretches them up a little bit, just going forward and backwards a few times. And then focus on the line of pressure from the heel to the big toe. So the ball just creates a little bit of instability. You've kind of got to keep the foot balanced on the ball. And then begin to go from the heel to the little toe side of the ball. Again, always just giving a little bit of downward pressure into the ball. And then focus on the heel to the 3 middle toes. Trying to kind of catch those 3 middle toes from the heel to the 3 middle toes. Good. And then have the ball sort of positioned more or less in the middle of the foot. And then as you roll the ball towards you, think the heel is coming down. And as you roll it away, the toes dive down towards the floor. So heel comes down, toes come down as you roll the ball away, heel and then toes, once more heel and then toes, and then again just give it a little bit of welly into different parts of the foot. Good. And then you can just let the ball just go out, we'll come back to the ball a little bit later when we come to the hands, but just again, just notice how the 2 kind of feet, for me certainly they're feeling much kind of alive in my awareness. Good. And then please just bring your right foot slightly forward, and then just lift the toes followed by the ball of the foot. Put the ball of the foot down and then the toes. So toes come first, ball of the foot, put the ball of the foot down and then the toes, and then once more toes followed by the ball of the foot. Keep the front of the foot lifted, and then just make some circles in space with the big toe, but allowing that movement to travel freely into the knee, so you're not fixing the knee, and you'll perhaps feel those circles also happening in the hip joint, and then just reverse the direction of those circles. Good. and then pause, change feet. So the left foot is slightly forward compared to the right. Lift the toes first, then the ball of the foot down, and then the toes. So toes lift first, trying to keep the ball of the foot down, and then you lift the ball of the foot down, and then the toes. So this differentiation of toes lifting first, then the ball of the foot, it's the same pattern we would use in walking to transfer weight through the foot. The next time the foot is lifted, then begin to make some circles with the big toe in space. Just as big, generous circles as possible, and then just reverse the direction of those circles. Good. And then pause, leave that alone, bring the feet and knees together, sandwich the hands between the knees, and then think of taking your toes apart, but do put them down, don't hold them up in the air, and then bring them back together and put them down. So you take them wide and put them down, let go of the effort, come back, let go of the effort, and once more take them wide and then bring them back together. And then this time, lift the heels, take them wide and put them down, lift them high and bring them back together and put them down. So you lift the heels high, take them wide and put them down, lifting them and bringing them back together. Just do that a few more times. Again, although the focus is on the movement of the heels, you'll perhaps feel the reverberation of that movement happening in the hip joint. Now pause and then alternate, taking the toes wide and then the heels wide. Toes wide, heels wide, and then once more toes wide and then heels wide, and then bring the hands back to rest on the thighs, and then we'll do our funny walk. So you take the toes wide, allowing the knees to separate, then the heels go wide and the knees roll in, toes wide, oh maybe I've got one more, heels wide, toes wide, and then you bring the toes back, the heels back, the toes back, the heels back, and then the toes. And then this time we'll lead with the heels. So heels go wide, allow the knees to separate as the toes go wide, heels go wide, toes go wide, I've reached my limit, and then toes, heels, toes, heels. And then this time we'll just do one more, but leading with the toes. Again, remember to let the knees separate as you take the toes wide, then the heels pivot out, then the toes. Actually, this is, I could go a little bit further, but that would be a strain. So I'm staying here, and then just think of pressing down into that line of the heel to the little toe a few times. So you press, release, press. It helps to lengthen, release these inner thigh muscles and engage some of your hip muscles, and then release. And then bring the feet towards each other, the heels towards each other, the feet and then the heels, and then just separate the feet and knees again about hip distance apart. Have your arms just comfortably by your side, and then lift the shoulders up to the ears, roll them forward and down, and squeeze them together behind you. So you come up towards the ears, down, squeeze them together behind you, forward and down, squeeze them together behind you, and then just reverse. So you lift the shoulder up to the ears, squeeze them together behind, just trying to isolate the movement of the shoulders and not substituting a lifting of the elbows. Good, release. Just take hold of your ball again, and just have it resting on your right thigh. So it's just in the kind of the palm, and then just make some circles with the hand into the ball. So just doing a few, trying to make a few circles with the ball, just rolling it in a circle, And you'll perhaps notice as that circle is happening, it's also bringing a circle into the elbow and into the upper arm. Good. And then keep the ball underneath the right hand, but bring it to rest on the left thigh. And then just make some small circles. So you're, I don't know, not a baker, pastry rolling or something like that over on this angle. Just reverse the direction of those circles. And then have your left hand resting on the ball. Just do a few circles here. And then just reverse. And then have the ball on the other thigh, still underneath the left hand. And then you just make some easy circles and then reverse the direction of those circles. Good. Put the ball to one side for a moment and then take hold of your stick and have the stick to the right hand side. So I often get asked, where exactly should the stick be? There is no one precise place. It should be, because we're doing a side movement, it should be between the hip and the knee. So between any of those places is good. And then you hold the stick as comfortably high as you can without putting any strain into the shoulders, and separate the feet and knees a little bit, wider than hip distance apart. And then first of all, we're just reaching the stick out to the side, following with the head, and then come back to centre. So the idea here, of course, is the most important thing that we're trying to achieve is to shift the weight onto the right hip joint, the right buttock. And the way we're doing that, of course, is by allowing the head to follow the stick. We're therefore tilting the spine. So you just reach the stick far enough that you know it's true, that your weight is on the right buttock, and you can always check it's true by sliding the left hand underneath the left buttock. If you can slide it easily, it means you've shifted weight, but through tilting. So now the next time you reach the stick out to the side, following with the head, just allow the stick to linger and begin to lift the head up, so lifting up through the crown of the head as though you're trying to head a football, so you're lengthening up, and you'll feel that as you begin to travel the head over, if you allow those ribs on the left hand side to fold, the shoulder to soften, the shape of the spine begins to change. It begins to come into a side bending shape, a C shape. So once more, you follow the stick with the head, begin to lift the head up as the stick lingers, and see if you can feel it up. By allowing that left shoulder to soften, it changes the shape of the spine. So we're beginning to come back through side bending to bring the weight onto two sit bones. And then the next time you reach the stick out to the side, have the idea that the head, you're lengthening up through the crown of the head. So the stick won't go as far, but we're shifting the weight onto the right sit bone, this time through side bending as opposed to tilting. And one thing that may help you particularly with that is to think of squashing an imaginary grape underneath the right sit bone. So you're pouring your weight into the right sit bone, but keeping the head upright. Good. Now, the next time you do that, turn the head and eyes to look to the left, and then come back. So you squash the grape, turn the head and eyes to the left. Just careful you're not stiffening into the right elbow or the right hand as you do that. Good. And then come back to centre. And then the next time, stay looking forward, so you still squash the grape, head lengthening up. And just see, can you rest here and breathe with your weight on the right sit bone? And check that it is true that your weight is on the right sit bone. So see if you can easily slide the left palm underneath the right left buttock. And then once you've kind of satisfied that's true, bring the left hand onto the knee again and just think, can you move the left knee straight forward and straight back? So just going straight forward and straight back, but keeping the foot planted where it is. And as the knee is going forward and back, it means your pelvis is pivoting, turning. The left side is coming forward as the knee comes forward and back as the knee goes back. Good. Come back to centre. And then once more, bring the weight onto the right sit bone, keeping the head upright. And then lift the front of the left foot, so the heel is down, and just push into the heel a few times. So I'll just show you that from the side there. I'm pushing into the heel a few times, keeping the front of the foot lifted. It really kind of encourages that backward movement of the hip. And then stay with the hip back and just tilt your left knee a little bit left and right. Just a little bit left and right. And then make some circles. They'll feel much clumsier. Make some circles with the big toe and then just reverse the direction of those circles and then release. Good. And then pause, and then once more just bring the weight onto the right hand side, keeping the head upright, and then just move that left knee forward and backwards a few times. Hopefully it feels a little bit easier, and then come back to centre. Now keep the stick in the same hand, but bring it on the right diagonal, so it's somewhere in front of the toes, not right next to the toes. The further away you have it away from the thigh, it will help to lengthen the front body. And then begin to reach the stick away from you on the diagonal, looking up at the top of the stick, and then come back. So just reaching the stick far away to the corner, looking up at the top of the stick. And if you reach the stick far enough, eventually the left side of the pelvis lifts. It kind of has to. The spine is pulled into the movement with the reach of the arm, and the left side of the pelvis lifts, meaning that your weight once more is brought onto the right buttock. But then see if you can, now that you've recognised that pattern, see if you can begin to really initiate the reach of the stick from the pelvis and the coming back from the pelvis. So you have to let the tummy out on the right hand side, push it out, and then pull it in to help bring you back. Just looking up as the stick goes forward, and then come back. And then just the next time, add a turning of the head to the left. Come back to centre. So as you're reaching the stick, initiating from the pelvis, you're turning to look to the left. Good. And then once more like that, turning to look to the left. Come back to centre. Keep the stick in the same hand, but bring it over onto the other diagonal. And the important thing about this diagonal, because we've kept the stick in the right hand, it means we're crossing a midline. It means you're asking the chest to do something different. And then begin to reach the stick away from you, looking up at the top of the stick, and then come back. So again, just reaching away, looking up at the top of the stick. And here you'll feel that the shift of weight is to the left sit bone, and your right buttock is becoming light. See if you can begin to initiate the reach from the pelvis rather than from the arm. Good. And then the next time you reach, stay there, And just think, can you look to the, I'll show this from the side, can you look to one side of the stick and then to the other side of the stick? Looking to one side with the head of the stick, as you stay reached away, looking to one side and then towards the other side. And you'll feel, oh, it's doing something interesting, this movement of the head to the spine. Come back to centre, and then again begin to reach the stick away and look to the left, and then come back. You reach the stick away and look to the left, and then once more reach the stick away and look to the left, good, and then come back to centre. Bring the stick into the middle, and then begin to reach the stick straight forward, and then come back to centre. So reaching the stick straight forward, trying to keep your nose lined up with the stick, and you'll perhaps feel the weight shifts over onto the left side if you're allowing it to. Come back to centre. And then the next time you reach the stick away, stay with it reached away. And just think, can you tilt the head to one side of the stick and then to the other side of the stick? One side of the stick, so the stick stays where it is, to the other side of the stick. One side and then the other. Good. And then come back to centre. And then the next time you reach the stick away, turn the head to look to the left, and then come back. So you reach the stick away, turn the head to look to the left, good, and then come back to centre. Good. So hopefully you felt some kind of very interesting movements, side bending movements in different parts of your spine. Bring the stick into the left hand. So comfortable high grip on the stick, somewhere to the side, not being too fussy about, worried about the exact position. So as long as it's to the side, it's okay. And then begin to reach the stick following with the head, and then come back to centre. So in this class, which is now quite an advanced class really, you all are familiar with this kind of way of shifting weight, tilting the spine, following the stick with the head, come back to centre. And so the next time, tilt the stick and think of lingering with the stick as you begin to lift the head up. So if you go slowly enough, allowing that right shoulder to soften, you'll feel that folding in of the ribs to help bring you back to centre. So follow, lift up through the head, allowing the shoulder to soften to come back to centre, and then once more follow, lifting up. See if you can feel that possibility of the ribs folding in to help bring you back to centre. So the next time we reach the stick out to the side, we want to do it through side bending. So head lengthens up, and you think of squashing the grape underneath the left sit bone, so the stick doesn't go as far, come back to centre. So you're trying to squash the grape as you lengthen up, come back to centre, and then the next time turn the head to the right, just to add a bit of rotation into the movement, and again turning the head to the right, come back to centre. And then the next time you bring the weight onto the left hand side, lengthening up, just check it's true. Is your weight truly on that left sit bone? Can you slide the right fingers underneath the right buttock? And then bring that right hand to rest back on the thigh, and just see, can you move the right knee straight forward and straight back. So just going straight forward, straight back, trying to keep the chest open to the front, breathing and jaw nice and relaxed. Good. And then pause, and then lift the front of the foot and push into the floor to send the knee back and the hip back. Just do that a few times, and then stay with the pressing into the heel, and then just move the knee a little bit right and left. Good. And keep the contact into the heel as you just make a few circles with the big toe. And then just reverse those circles. Good. And then come back to centre. Bring the stick onto the first diagonal, so the left diagonal, and begin to thinking of initiating this from the pelvis. Can you begin to reach the stick away, looking towards the top of the stick, and then come back. So reaching away, and then coming back. Good. Once more, reaching away. That's it. If you feel, oh, that right buttock is definitely lifting as part of this movement. And then the next time, begin to look to your right as you're reaching the stick away. Just looking to the right. Good. And then come back. Bring the stick onto the other diagonal. So again, important thing about this is it's crossing the midline. So golfers, tennis players, anything, those kind of rotational movements, the ability to cross the midline, and the core adapts to that. So first of all, begin to reach the stick away to the far corner of the room, and then come back to centre. So pushing the tummy out to reach the stick away, come back to centre. And then the next time, turn the head to the right, come back to centre, and the head to the right, come back to centre. And then the next time, stay looking at the stick, reach it away, stay reaching away, and just can you look to the one side of the stick and then to the other side of the stick. So the head is going in an arc to look to around one side of the stick, and then to the other side, to one side and then the other. Come back to centre, and then once more as you reach the stick away, turn the head to look to the right. And I don't know about you, but suddenly I can turn the head a lot further to look to the right as I do that. Bring the stick into your midline this time, keeping the nose lined up with the stick, initiating from the pelvis. Can you reach the stick straight forward and then come back? So reaching forward and coming back. And then the next time, look to the right and come back, and to the right and come back. And then stay looking forward, reach the stick forward. Can you look to one side of the stick as though you're playing peekaboo, to the other side of the stick, one side of the stick, other side of the stick. Oh, I feel that deep folding in of the ribs. Come back to centre, and then once more reach the stick forward, turn the head to look to the right. Good. And then come back to centre. Good. And release. Just to give your arms a rest, let's do some hip work. Rest the top of the stick against the right thigh. The bottom of the stick I'm pointing away. For me, this is the easier angle to begin with. I know some of you find other angles easier, so don't be afraid to change the angle of the stick, but for me I'm having it pointing away to the corner of the room. And then just see, can you bring the foot, the left foot, to rest on the stick, and then take it off. So again, for many people, this as an exercise is already quite a lot, because it's engaging some hip muscles amongst other things to bring the foot on. So if you're finding that's enough of a challenge, feel free to stay there. But if you want to progress the movement, then keep the foot on the stick, and then begin to slide the foot up the stick. But have the idea you're turning the sole of the foot towards you, and look at the sole of the foot as if you wanted to see what's on the stick, on the foot, and then slide the foot away down the stick. So you bring the foot up the stick, so it might just be an inch, it's absolutely fine, but notice how I'm letting the knee turn out. And as the foot slides away, the knee is turning in. And then as you slide the foot away, push that heel away from you. Draw the toes up, push the heel away. You'll feel, something happening in that hip joint. So foot comes up, knee out, push the foot away, the heel away. And then if you're more confident, have got more range of movement, by all means come up, further up the stick, and then away. And you'll notice, if you're allowing it to, there's a very important response of the pelvis and the weight. So as the foot comes up, weight is more on two sit bones. As the leg pushes away, there's a shift of weight onto the right hand side. The pelvis rotates, and because of that, the rotation carries up through the spine to the crown of the head. So coming up, and then away, good, and up, and then away, good. Pause, just notice the effect of that on that hip joint. So again, feels much more kind of alive and active for me. And then bring the stick onto the other side. So top of the stick is resting against the groin, bottom of the stick is pointing away from you. And just see again, so is it easy for you to bring the foot onto the stick? If it's not, then maybe that's just where you need to stay. It's absolutely fine. But if you can, keep the foot on the stick, and then again, a small movement. You see, even with a small movement, I'm allowing the knee to turn out. As I push the heel away, slide the leg down, I'm pushing the heel away. So a small movement is still, with the foot, is still bringing a lot of movement into the hip joint. Now, just pause for a moment. So one person I was working with last week, it was very interesting. Her left hip was acting differently from the right, and what she was doing with the stick was, first of all, sliding the foot up and the knee up, and then trying to get the rotation. And it wasn't, she wasn't really aware she was doing it. So as soon as you're sliding the foot up, allow the knee to turn out, and then slide the foot away. So coming up, sliding away, and see if you can begin to allow this kind of response of the pelvis to the movement. See if you can follow the rotation of the pelvis as it travels up through the crown of the head as the heel is going away from you. Coming up, good, and then away, good. And then just leave that alone. Come back to centre again, just notice how the two legs are feeling, good. And then please have both hands on the stick. And I'm just turning to the side so you can see, and then begin to explore our rounding to look at the bottom of the stick, arching to look at the top of the stick. So remember, the important thing here to observe initially is to keep the outer shoulder over the outer hip. So it's not displacing the shoulder back or forward, you're keeping that stacked alignment of the shoulder over the hip so that you're getting the whole of the spine involved in the change. And then the next time you arch the back to look at the top of the stick. Now we will turn it into movement. Think of reaching far forward, bring the ears between the upper arms, pull in the tummy, so you come back rounded, and then you arch. You go forward in an arch, release the head, pull in the tummy to come back, arching to go forward, pulling in the tummy to come back. Good. And now let's reverse that wave. So this time it's as though you're diving into a swimming pool. You reach the stick forward, look up, arch to the back to come back. So you arrive back in an arch, then you release into the curl to go forward, arching to come back, diving to go forward. Good. And then pause. Have the stick again in both hands. Just change where the stick is, the bottom of the stick. So take it off centre, and then see if you can stir this pan of paella. But this stirring, of course, it's coming from your middle. So it's a constant arching to take the stick round, rounding to come back, and then just reverse the direction of these circles. As much as possible, you're trying to generate these circles, this paella stirring from your middle. Good. And then pause, just change the placement of the stick, and then whichever hand you've got on top, just change it so it's the other hand that's on top, and then again just begin to make some circles. So really be kind of, oh, I'm very possessive, I'm going to make my circle as large as possible to mark out my territory. So you're really reaching out with the spine, and then just reverse the direction of these circles. Good. And then pause, just put the stick down for one moment. Good. And if you can still reach it, take hold of your orange ball. So I just wanted to cover some, as we all get older, it's very important to keep dexterity in the fingers and the hands, to keep grip strength. So I just wanted to show you how you can use the ball to work that. So just have the ball in the right hand, squeeze the ball, it's very satisfying, and release. Squeeze, good, release. Squeeze, release. Have it in the left hand, squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Once more, squeeze, release. So just working on grip strength. Then have the ball resting on the thigh, and then see if you can pinch just the thumb and index finger into the ball. Release. Thumb and index finger into the ball. Release. And then thumb and middle finger. Just the thumb and the middle finger. Release. Thumb and middle finger. Release. Thumb and ring finger. Release. Thumb and ring finger. Release. And then thumb and little finger. Release. Thumb and little finger. Release. And then squeeze the ball once more with all the fingers. Release. Bring the ball underneath the left hand. So, and then just think of pinching the thumb and index finger together. Release. Thumb and index finger. Release. Thumb and middle finger only. Release. Thumb and middle finger. Release. Thumb and ring finger. But it's just a light pressure. Release. Thumb and ring finger. Release. Thumb and little finger. Release. Thumb and little finger. Release. Squeeze the ball. If you can do that easily, fantastic. But actually, so quite a lot of people have difficulty, and it's actually quite a complex thing for the brain to organise, switching on one finger as the others are switched off. Have the ball once more underneath the right hand. Here you can see this, you don't really have to be able to see it, underneath the right hand. And then just lift your index finger, release. Just the middle finger, release. Just the ring finger, release. And then the little finger, release. Once more, little finger, release. Just the ring finger, release. Middle finger, release. Index finger, release. And now index and middle finger, can you lift them, keep them separate and release. And then index and ring finger, can you lift and release. And then index and little finger and release. And then middle and ring, keeping them separate and release. And then middle and little, that famous comedy duo, and release. And then ring and little only, and then release. Good. Bring the ball, again, if you can do that easily, well, give yourself a pat on the back. Again, it's quite a complex thing for the brain to work out to do. So first of all, just the individual fingers. Index finger, release. Middle finger, release. Ring finger, release. Make sure you're not including the toes or the jaw. Little finger, release. And then little finger, again, ring finger, middle finger, and then index finger. And then pairs, index and middle. Lift, keep separate, and release. Index and ring, release. Index and little, release. And now middle and ring, release. Middle and little, I find that quite hard, and release. And then ring and little, good. And then release. Just put the ball to one side for a moment. And then have your thumb tips and index fingertips all touching. So all your fingers are together. And then just see if you can separate the little fingers, then the middle fingers, and then the ring fingers. So all the fingers are spread wide, apart from the index finger and thumb. And then just see, can you bring the middle fingers back, then the ring fingers back, and then the little fingers back. So just do that again. Little fingers go wide only, then the ring fingers go wide, then the middle fingers go wide. Bring just the middle finger back, the ring fingers back, and then the little fingers back. Good. And then just give the hands a shape. So between each finger you have important muscles, little muscles called your umbilicals, that help to spread the hands. And again, often as people get older, the hands are so kept in a flexed position, extending the fingers can become a bit of a challenge. But in terms of self-care, of course, the more availability we have of our hands and fingers, the better. Please have the stick once more in both hands. Okay, very interesting. Can you feel hands feel different in the attention? And we'll practice our coming up to stand. So you arch the back, begin to reach the stick forward, looking up at the top of the stick, and then come back. So remember, the idea is you're always going forward with the stick, never pulling it forward. You reach forward, 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 until you feel the bottom has become light. And then you can come up to standing, squeezing the bottom to come up. And then to go back down, don't think of going down, think of going forward with the stick and the head. Keep going forward, forward, forward. You'll feel the contact of the bottom with the chair, and then you can shift the weight back into the seat of the chair. So once more, think of going forward, 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 forward. Squeeze the bottom to come up to standing, good. And then again begin to sit down, but go forward, forward, forward to sit down, good. And then please come back to centre. Just put the stick down for a moment. You notice I've done quite a lot today for feet, hips, hands and wrists. Just notice how that all feels. Just see what's it like to bring your weight onto one side through side bending and then onto the other side. Good. And then pause. Give yourself a clap. So hope you enjoyed the slightly different edition of these exercises. I use them a lot one-to-one with people, particularly people who've got more difficulty with their hands. And it's good to have a range of those extra exercises in your repertoires to look after yourself, really. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week.